Hello everyone and welcome to this new class. Today we are going to cover some theoretical concepts regarding grids. To begin with, grids have been an intuitive part of printing since its earliest days. They have always been used to provide a structure. Take for example this 15th century Bible. We can clearly see a two-column grid layout with organized margins and titles. Essentially, its structure is not that different from a modern magazine. Let's distinguish the different elements that form a publication. We have the left page and the right page. Together, they form a spread. In this spread, the spine is the central element that separates the two pages. So far, so simple. Now, let's look at the layout process. When designing, we define the top, bottom, outside, and inside margins, the latter reaching the spine. We can play with these margins in various ways. The values we assign to them will significantly influence how the content interacts with the page. There is a huge difference between using a minimal top margin with a large bottom margin and following a classical layout with uniform margins. I also want to emphasize the purple line around the page, the bleed line. This is an extra margin, usually between 3 and 5 millimeters. We use it for elements that need to go full bleed, meaning they reach the very edge of the page. Since the trimmer cuts the paper along the trim marks, photographic elements must extend slightly beyond the line. This provides a safety margin so that even if there is a slight mismatch during cutting, you won't see a white sliver at the edge. Regarding the grid, columns traditionally feature equal widths. However, there is no hard rule stating they must be uniform. Column widths should meet the specific editorial needs of your project. If the content requires it and your design is coherent, you can vary the widths. Every design choice must be backed by a clear rationale. Now let's look at the 12-column grid, which is the gold standard of editorial design. The number 12 is magic because it offers incredible flexibility. This is why prestigious art and experimental magazines, as well as great designers, rely on it. It allows for immense variety. In this image, you can see the top, bottom, outside, and inside margins. In blue, we have the 12 columns, and in white, the gutters. This arrangement is extremely flexible because 12 can be subdivided into multiples of 2, 3, 4, or 6. For instance, on the left page, we could use 2 columns for one section, 3 for the next, and 4 for another, leaving the final 3 blank. On the right page, we could use 6 columns for one section and leave the rest for a large image. The most important thing is to let the content guide your decisions. Varying font sizes and columns widths establishes a visual hierarchy for the reader. We are communicating information through a structure. Choosing between a serif or sans serif font or deciding between a 1-column or 12-column grid completely changes the message. Coherence and variety are essential to building a brand's visual identity. In this spread, the left page uses a 3-column grid. The bottom section uses all 3 columns for text. The middle features a photograph spanning the full width, and the large headline covers 2 columns. The running head at the top is aligned with the central column. Think of the grid as a skeleton. It provides order and structure, but you can still play with it and make exceptions. Not everything has to be perfectly boxed in. To recap some concepts, let's look at the elements, the columns, and the baseline grid. The baseline grid determines the leading of our text. Here, the models are marked in gray, each spanning several lines of leading. These horizontal divisions also help structure advertising space. In newspapers, ad space is often sold based on modular weighting. For example, a specific price for a set number of models. In this newspaper spread, we see a 5-column grid where the right page uses 5 models for an ad, while the left uses 10. Grids provide a structure that acts as a visual code, helping the reader distinguish between different sections of a magazine. You can switch to a different grid when the content demands it, such as the start of a new section, to avoid monotony. Even if you don't change the grid itself, you can change how you use its columns. This is why the 12-column grid is so powerful. A 3-column grid is much more limited. To create a significant visual shift, you would likely need to switch to an 8 or 4-column structure. In this example, column widths respond directly to editorial needs. On the right-hand spread, the 5 narrow columns are used for secondary information, such as a glossary, copy resources, or footnotes. As a rule of thumb, the nature of the content determines the hierarchy, size, and leading. The more important the text, the larger the size and the more generous the leading. Finally, remember that a publication can use several related grids. They just need to be tied together by a clear graphic discourse. Whether you use a classic 3-column grid or a more playful 4-column grid, your goal is to manage hierarchy and creativity. I personally enjoy the 5-column grid because it allows for asymmetrical composition that look very modern. Look at these real-world examples. On the left, a fashion magazine uses a 3-column grid but breaks the skeleton with circular elements to avoid monotony. Another publication might look like it uses 3 columns but is actually built on 12-column grid. Even the cover of a magazine like Manacle reveals a hidden 12-column structure once you analyze it deeply. RA Magazine, a leading art publication, also uses the Magic 12. Notice its 4mm gathers and its 11-point baseline grid. Even when images seem to vibrate or break the columns, the underlying skeleton provides the order. Similarly, Architecture Magazine uses a 4-column grid with asymmetrical margins, 5mm top versus 24mm bottom, to convey modernity. To wrap up, I've shown you some InDesign templates, but I don't recommend relying on them. As editors, your job is to find a unique way to relate to your content. Templates are repetitive. Using them won't help you stand out. Be creative and build your own structures. That is all for today. I will see you in the next lesson.